Okay, everybody, we've been talking a lot over the last couple of months about recovery campaigns and what that looks like. And the coronavirus has really thrown so many of us for a loop. If you have found yourself struggling to know how you're going to plan your recovery campaign, or if you're not sure if you've got the right plan in place, my team has been putting together these recovery campaigns for several destinations. We would love to take that opportunity to provide one for you. If you're interested in getting some guidance for your recovery campaign, whether it's just for us to take a look and give you some high-level recommendations, or if you're looking for someone to help you see it all the way through, we'd love the opportunity to take a look. If you're interested in having us take a look and help you come up with the right recovery campaign, please email me directly at adam@relicagency.com and we'll get you set up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker, and boy, do we have a treat for you today. You know, normally we have one person on the show, and we'll interview that person one-on-one, but, you know, there was so much cool information from this destination that I talked to that I said, we got to get the whole team on. And so we have the team from Explore Lawrence, Kansas with us today, and I'm so excited to have them on. You guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. So I think the first thing that I'd like to do is introduce, or have you guys each introduce yourselves. We'll start with Michael, then we'll go Andrea, then we'll go Kim to keep it easy. So Michael, why don't you kick us off with who you guys are?
Okay. Well, I'm Michael Davidson. I'm the executive director of Explore Lawrence. I came to Explore Lawrence in April of 2016. And basically, we went from an advisory organization to a 501c6 with a governing board. And we are basically, our function is sales and marketing for our destination. But we have obviously, you know, over the years evolved into really figuring out how we can help manage the destination in addition to marketing the destination.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Andrea Johnson. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications here at Explore Lawrence. I've been here since May of 2016. Came here from my previous position at the State Tourism Division for the state of Kansas. And when this opportunity became available, I had to hop on it, as Lawrence is the place that I call home by choice. So happy to be here.
Wonderful. Okay, and Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Onspach, and I am the Director of Community Relations for Explore Lawrence, and I have been with the Bureau since 2014, so spoiler alert, that makes me the senior staff member. So I've been with the destination through all those changes, and I really love what I do, and I think my job is the most fun because I get to work closely with our stakeholders and our event promoters.
Great. And so as everybody can hear, we've got the dream team with us here today, and we're excited to chat with each of you about some of the things that you're doing. But we have kind of an icebreaker question that we like to ask everybody. We're going to do a little round robin here. This time we're going to start with Kim and work our way backwards. And so Kim, if you could start us off, tell us your dream destination. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
So I'm a little bit of a Francophile. I had majored in French for a hot second in college. So I've actually never been to France, and that seems like an abomination. So I would definitely take some time and spend that in France. Specifically, I would like to go to Provence and see all the lavender fields there. So definitely a nice little agrarian French vacation for me.
Sounds amazing. Okay, France. I like it. How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I'm looking for that island paradise destination. So take me to Fiji, where I can just relax on the beach and take in the beautiful sights and do a lot of nothing. That sounds fabulous to me.
Oh, Andrea, Fiji is my trigger word. That is my favorite vacation I have ever taken. And I can tell you all about where to go, what resort to stay at, and how to have an amazing time. So I'm glad that's on your list. Michael, how about you?
You know, as you evolve over time, you know, a dream destination changes. So when, you know, my daughter was young, it was Sesame Place was a dream destination because it's something she really wanted. But as I've sort of grown into it, I don't really have a destination, but what I want There's great weather, great history, great culture, and great food, and that would be a dream destination for me.
Oh man, there are some amazing destinations all over the world that would fit into those pillars or requirements that you've got. So you've got some flexibility there.
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay. Well, I want to also ask each of you quickly your favorite destination you've ever been to, favorite trip you've ever been on. Michael, we'll start with you and go back through Andrea and Kim.
Andrea's going to sort of like this a little bit. St. Thomas is my favorite destination. I've been there multiple times, and that's where I got married. So St. Thomas has always been my favorite place to go. And as my wife and I keep thinking about it, last time we were there, we got delayed leaving the island, and we were starving, and we just got some ice cream from a vendor. And to this day, that's the best ice cream we ever had.
Awesome. And what a place to get married.
It was great. We got married at the historical temple there in St. Thomas that actually has sand on the floor, which is a symbolic of the Sephardic wing of the Jewish community, that they have sand on their temple floors. It's kind of cool.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Okay, Andrea.
Yeah, I would say I've taken a couple trips up into the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and absolutely love that. I just love the feeling of being on top and feeling so small, and just a great place to reflect.
You know what? We've got to get you just on the other side of those Rocky Mountains to the Utah side where we are.
Would love to.
Great. Any specific like hike you went on or city you visited or anything specific that stood out to you on those trips?
Well, definitely. I mean, we'll never forget Pikes Peak, of course, just being at the top there, and just an interesting trip to the top. I was in high school with my parents, and my stepdad who drove up was on the floor of the back of the car on the way down. So it's very memorable there. Said, "You guys take the wheel this time. I'm gonna close my eyes and pretend I'm not high up."
Oh, that's great.
So in my youth, I was a runner, and my brother and I were big time ultra marathoners. And my brother once year did the Pikes Peak Marathon, which is you run up and you run down. It's a 28-mile race. So he probably took a little longer to get to the top than you did, Andrea.
I can't think of a worse sounding trip than what you and your brother did there on the Pikes Peak Marathon, Michael.
We were younger then.
That sounds painful. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, Kim, how about you? Did you run to the top of a mountain or anything?
Absolutely not. There was no, that is not how I vacation. So you're going to like this. I would have to say Utah. We went on a Utah vacation right before we had our son, and I
Now we're
was
talking.
in love with that area. Everyone that we met on the hikes it just felt like everyone was discovering this adventure together and was so open to sharing what trail they found. And we went to Moab, we went to Canyonlands, and my favorite campsite was Goblin Valley. That was amazing. It was
Oh
like
yeah.
camping on the moon. So, yeah, Utah, that's where it's at. Andrea, get over there.
All right.
Yeah. Kim wins the prize for my favorite answer.
Thank you.
The places you mentioned, though, Moab, Canyonlands, Goblin Valley. I mean, it does. It feels like you're on another planet, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Awesome. Well, those are all great answers, you guys. Thank you so much. Let's dive into the destination. I really want to talk about and get to know Lawrence as a destination because it's a pretty unique part of Kansas. So can one of you kind of take the lead on telling us a general overview of Lawrence as a destination?
Sure, I can do that. Well, Lawrence is a college town in the northeast corner of the state of Kansas, the most populous area of the state. We're nestled between Kansas City and Topeka, which is the state's capital. we're a college town, so we're home to the state's flagship university, which is the University of Kansas. Really great university. It's very well known, especially for its athletics, specifically for basketball. We are a college basketball powerhouse, and the inventor of the game is James Naismith, who was actually the very first coach for the University of Kansas basketball team. So we are known also as the cradle of basketball. Besides that, we have a very popular historic downtown area. It's the top visited place in the state of Kansas, according to Arrivalist data. So number one tourist attraction in the state is our downtown, which is home to all kinds of unique boutiques, excellent food, lots of local farm-to-table type of restaurants with all kinds of genres of restaurants. And also lots of arts, culture, live music. It's typically a really lively area and a place that people like to visit. Other than that, we were founded by immigrants who came to Kansas as with their goal of making Kansas a free state. So we have a lot of really cool history, pre-Civil War history, and ultimately we did enter the Union as a free state. So all kinds of things, just exact things that Michael described in his dream destination. He's living in one. We have the history, the arts, and the food.
Oh, great point. Yeah, that does fit Michael pretty well. No wonder that's where you call home, Michael.
Absolutely.
You know, it's amazing. There's rich American history. There's rich sports history. There's one of the best college programs in the country. What a cool place to call home.
It really is.
Well, great. I appreciate the background for everybody that's listening. And now I want to get into, you guys, from a tourism standpoint, have we ever had a year like 2020? I mean, this has been unreal with COVID and the challenges that it's brought with it, the new normal that we're in. And I would just love to hear, and maybe Michael, I'll direct this one to you. If you could just give us kind of a timeline of your mental and emotional reaction to finding out that COVID wasn't a joke, and then as that kind of went over time, how you adjusted and reacted to the situation.
Well, it's a great question, and I was thinking about it, and I've kind of looked back at the way we've been communicating to our stakeholders. And on March 10th, we sent out a newsletter to our partners informing them of our upcoming tourism summit, and we were going to roll out our new marketing campaign. So that was March 10th. On March 12th, we sent out our first e-newsletter informing people about something that we think was happening. And literally every day, every 2 days, we were communicating to our stakeholders as we began to figure out what was happening. It was so quick, and it was so, I don't think I thought much about it as I was living through it, but I did a couple of times as we had moved into only Zoom meetings. We weren't meeting, nobody was coming to the office because the office was closed by the city. And I remember some of the early meetings where the staff seemed so overwhelmed, and I felt this need to be a cheerleader for the staff. But within a couple of weeks, they sort of got into it. We got into a routine. We understood, we actually thought for a while we were over communicating. We sort of pulled back, but we did all the important things. We brought the stakeholders together. We created various webinars and various Zoom meetings to kind of talk about things. But in the middle, I don't think I ever relaxed. I think one of the things we talked about as a staff is that we had long days but short weeks. It just felt like every day was going on forever, but all of a sudden it was Friday. So it was.
That is such a good description.
Yeah, I think I think Andrea might have come up with that one. I'm not positive, but that was kind of things that we were kind of talking about. But I think there might have been we can't believe this moment is happening, but I think quickly we got involved and we all took the roles we needed to take. I mean, I was, mostly concerned for, the continued viability of the organization. So I was deep in diving into budgets and things like that. But Angie and Kim were working, okay, what does the website have to look like now? How do we talk to their stakeholders? How do we continue to communicate? So it really was, I don't think at any point, I think a couple of points I felt pretty exhausted and I felt very, sort of down, but I don't think I let the staff know about that much. And early on, we were Zooming every day, and then we started to Zoom every other day as we reached our kind of our the routine sort of happened. But it was amazing how much stuff we had to change as quickly as we had to. And again, it was the things that Andrea and Kim and the sales department were doing to make everything happen. But it was I'm trying to figure out when we actually began to feel relaxed, and I'm not sure we ever did, because after this podcast, I've got a meeting with our hotels, and something just popped up today we have to deal with. So it's always, what's the next thing? But there seems to be some days when things are calmer and that people have got their routine together. But we're still in the middle of this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's amazing because it feels like workload has gone up, but revenue has gone down, which is even more complicated because some destinations have furloughed employees and stuff like that. But the reality is there's never been more work to do.
And my staff has stepped up. We did furlough a couple of staff people. We had to close our visitor center because, again, the state and the county closed everything down for a period of time, and we're just slowly reopening the visitor center. But no, I think we all hunkered down, and I don't know, I don't know how Andrew and Kim actually did it, but they did it. And I think everybody's really proud of their efforts, not only our board, but I think all the stakeholders who have come to recognize that we've got the chops to help everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's great that you guys jumped into action, that the whole team kind of got together and rallied together. Kim, I want to direct this question at you. You guys, as part of your plan, you created 3 very specific goals for everyone to agree upon before rolling the plan out, so that everybody could be on the same page. And I know that you are in charge of kind of stakeholder engagement and community relations. So I'm sure that you were very involved in the creation of this plan, and especially the goals that everybody agreed on. Tell me a little bit about coming up with those goals and then what those goals actually were.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing as an organization we always strive for is to be proactive instead of reactive. And that first couple weeks we were, having to react to what was happening, but in the back of our minds we really knew that we needed a plan in order to attack this and address this. So we really thought of how we could best help our stakeholders and our community. So we really thought that we needed to become a really good resource and a partner for our stakeholders. So I'll speak to that one first. One thing I think that a lot of the destinations that will be listening to this podcast can agree on is there are certain stakeholders that are so vital to our success, but they're really hard to engage. Specifically, I'm going to talk about our restaurateurs. They are so important to our destination. Our restaurants really drive a lot of day trips, and we know that everyone is going to eat in a restaurant when they come stay overnight. So we really wanted to support them as a DMO and provide them with tools to the next step. So that first week, it just felt like everything was falling apart. Our restaurants are closing. We're seeing people that are out of work. We don't know how to support them. And thankfully, we had a very young restaurant association that had started with some of our more well-known restaurants and chefs. So Michael reached out to them, actually made that connection with them, and we started supporting them with facilitating Zoom meetings and getting them together so they could actually create a fund to help the laid off restaurant workers bridge that gap until any unemployment could kick in. So they raised all this money to help support them. And it was really, that was actually energizing for me because I saw our community coming together and really working so hard to make sure that everyone was taken care of. So those relationships are going to take us through this. We're going to be able to utilize those relationships when we are in a post-COVID era, which I am so looking forward to that era. But,
Yeah.
we really wanted to help provide.
Aren't
You're
we
right?
all?
I know. It's just like, are we done yet? No, we're not, but just keep persevering, right? So yeah, we
Yep.
provided them with technology since they didn't have dues, and so they don't have a budget. So we had technology that we were using. We also created shared resources so that stakeholders could get daily updates and really begin the reopening resources as well as that came on. Our second goal, which I'll also speak to, was to really become that community resource for information and current practices. And where Andrea and I really dug into this was the website. And Andrea will talk about branding and our messaging way more eloquently than I can, but she is our data queen. So she began to notice what we always know is our events calendar. It's really where traffic is driven onto our website. People find it through organic search. We don't even do a digital campaign for our events calendar. And with travel coming to a halt, our website traffic just plummeted. And so we had to think about ways that were useful that we could get people to our website. So that is also where we came into. We spent hours upon hours searching every business's current status, if they were open, if they were doing curbside. And we went through our whole database and uploaded specific specialized icons for their business status. And then we could push out, okay, you're looking for a place to eat. Here's where you can get your curbside, no contact delivery. Who's started delivery that hasn't done it before? So that was really important. We had to figure out how to utilize that local traffic that was on our website for the good of our stakeholders, because we want to make sure all of these great assets we have in Lawrence make it through this crisis and we can come back and get everyone back to visit our great restaurants and shopping and attractions.
Awesome. I love how important your stakeholders were in your process because, I mean, in the end, your customer experience is 100% dependent upon those stakeholders and their ability to survive, just like the other businesses that are in the destination. And so the actions that you guys took in being a resource for the community, it seems like it really had an impact to help some of those businesses have the resources to get
Yeah.
through.
Adam, if you don't mind me jump in a little bit, because there's so much stuff we do. I want to make sure Kim didn't miss it. But Kim basically became the queen of Zooms for Lawrence, Kansas. Not only the Restaurant Association, she works regularly with the arts groups, but we even began to become the facilitator for statewide conversations for various chambers of commerce that work together. So that we became identified as that. We were the ones that could make that happen. It became a little overwhelming, and we had to, cut that back a little bit. This was taking way too much time of Kim's time to do that. But the beginning, we were facilitating all these Zooms, and because we knew how to do it. And again, it was another thing that I think was very rewarding for us, an organization, to be the people that said, okay, we need to meet, we can figure out how to make it happen. And again, Kim learned Zoom incredibly quickly. And I mean, we did the first meeting with the SBA when the funding wasn't, how do people find out about funding? We sent out, we announced the meeting. I think 140 people tried to get onto the meeting, and it was not only people from the hospitality industry, but there were brick and mortar businesses, lawyers were on that call. So it, again, was taking a technology that Kim had mastered and offering up to the community as a service.
I love that because, I mean, in a crisis, who cares about your job description? Who cares about your previous responsibilities? It's all hands on deck. And as a community, we're going to get through this together. And you guys, it sounds like you really embodied that.
Yeah. I also, the bonus of this all is we are now having all of this legions of locals who may not even have known that tourism was important, but they're now becoming like local ambassadors about our industry and they understand it now. We're able to get that word out. So it's really been great. And it really positions us with leading those Zooms that Michael mentioned as the meeting experts in town. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
really kind of, making lemonade out of lemons there. So,
bingo, bingo. Every community has the, well, what does the CVB even do for us conversation, right? Everybody has people asking that question. And yet you guys, through your efforts, I mean, there's not near as many people asking that question in your community as there are in others because of the way you became that resource in the crisis. I love it. Andrea, the third goal was tied more to the brand message, and I'd love to have you walk us through that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely had the goal to continue creating and sharing content that would reflect Lawrence in a positive way and also reflect the Unmistakably Lawrence brand, which, just to help you understand it a little bit, I mean, we're a quirky community. Some other keywords we use are proud, eclectic, friendly. And so those are the type of things that we're trying to continue, of course, to push out. It really is a test of your brand to be able to stand by it through a crisis. So we did several different things to continue that, so we didn't miss a beat as far as creating content. Even if people couldn't visit at the time, we tried to find ways for them to still inspire people to visit. And then also with the increased local traffic, make them proud and help them understand the brand even more. So we started an Unmistakably Us blog that highlighted creative and positive actions that local businesses were taking that benefited the community, and also just, creative ways that they were able to survive. And even some of our local businesses are thriving in this environment because they adapted so well. For example, our Raven bookstore, still not open for browsing, but they immediately enacted free local deliveries, $1 delivery throughout the U.S., brought so many fun stories, made care packages available where people could donate and nominate people to receive a care package of books, and just did so many things to keep people interested. So we wrote about that. We had a local bed and breakfast who's a wedding venue start drive-through weddings. How cool is that? They adapted so quickly. And so we highlighted those stories. We also, one of our tactics, we really work with local people to share our story through our visitor's guide and on our website. So we have a live music local expert, and live music has taken a huge hit. Venues taken a huge hit because of just the nature of live music. It does not jive with a pandemic. So we worked with her, and she created some playlists of local musicians in different genres. She did a creating in quarantine, a kind of a behind the scenes look at some home studios, really engaging stuff to continue having new content. And then, of course, a lot of things other destinations were doing. Zoom backgrounds, coloring
Andrea,
pages, things like that.
And I'm sorry to jump in, but I just got to say that the thing that really stands out to me that you guys did here is the focus on positivity. You guys in a very negative situation created the Unmistakably Us blog, right? And you're sharing feel-good stories in the midst of an awful situation, and keeping that positivity associated with your brand. I just think that's such a great tactic that you use. And then, of course, the Zoom backgrounds and the coloring pages, those were such a fun thing to see come out of the crisis from so many destinations, doing really cool and unique stuff that people didn't have to actually attend your destination to take part in. I want to take a quick break, but after that break, I want to talk about what I think is the most unique thing that you guys did in this pandemic, and the way you handled what a lot of people perceive as a negative part of a customer experience in a destination, and how you flip that on its head. So we're going to take a quick break and come back, and Andrea, we can keep that conversation going. Okay, guys, since we started the Destination Marketing Podcast a little over a year ago, I've had several destinations reach out and say, hey, could you help me start a podcast? And at first we were kind of like, well, no, that's not really what we do. But after enough requests, we said, you know what, let's explore this. And we've created a turnkey program for destinations where we will produce, we will host, we will edit, and we will publish your podcast for your destination on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. And all you have to do is show up and answer some questions. We're really excited about this program. We've got a few destinations that have been doing really, really well with their podcast. And if you've ever thought about creating a podcast for your destination, but you don't have all the equipment, or you don't have the expertise or any of that type of stuff, let us take that off your hands. Let Relic handle your podcast creation and production. And all you have to do is show up and answer questions about all the amazing things there are to do within your destination. So let me know if you're interested. Email me at adam@relicagency.com, and we'll get you set up on this podcast program. Okay, so I know that I left everybody on kind of a cliffhanger before we went to that break, but Andrea, I need you to tell me how you as a destination have turned parking enforcement into a good part of the customer experience, which I've never heard anyone be able to do. So tell me a little bit about what you guys did there.
Sure, absolutely. So this is one of the newest things that's taken place here. But I mentioned in the intro about Lawrence, about how the downtown district is the top visited place in Kansas. And so the downtown area has undergone a big reconfiguration that just got completed within the last week. And the purpose of it is to allow businesses to expand outside a lot more, so that especially for restaurants, when in-house dining needs to be at half capacity, creating more outdoor space for diners, and even for our retail to come out onto the sidewalks. So with that being said, at the same time, at the beginning of the pandemic, the city stopped enforcing parking meter tickets. So we have parking meter staff who their job is completely being turned around. And so with a partnership between the city with the reconfiguration, our Downtown Lawrence membership organization, Downtown Lawrence Inc., and with us, those parking meter employees are now considered Lawrence Downtown ambassadors. And actually the tourism ambassador program that we already have established is Kim's baby. She developed this program after doing some research on what other communities were doing, but we really felt that we needed an ambassador program to help be an extension of our staff. And so, Kim, I don't know, how many people have you trained so far in tourism ambassadors?
We had, I think, 4 classes, and we were up to around 30 people. I keep the classes very small, so it's has a lot of interaction. So I think I was at like 25 to 30 before we trained the parking staff.
Yeah. So in those classes, people learn a lot of our history. We provide them with all kinds of resources and ways that they can connect visitors with what it is that they're looking for. So we repurposed that program to fit the needs of the parking meter staff. And now, instead of enforcing parking meters, they're out keeping the downtown area clean, answering any visitors' questions about what's open and what there is to see and do in the area. And Kim, if you want to talk about that training class was just about a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah, it was.
Well, before you get to that, and I do want to get to that, I've just got to jump in here because you talked about you guys as an organization decided to be proactive instead of reactive, right? The reactive response to parking enforcement no longer being a thing in downtown is, well, we've got to let all our parking enforcement people go. Like, that is the reactive mentality. You guys, in installing this proactive mentality, said, how can we take this group of people that has a job, is employed, and reallocate those people to do something that really benefits the destination? We take care of our stakeholders, we take care of our people, and we also improve the brand experience, the customer experience, by having these brand ambassadors or downtown ambassadors throughout Lawrence. And I've got to say that is one of the most unique transitions from one job responsibility to another that I've ever heard. And kudos to you guys for for having that proactive mentality and actually living up to your promise to be proactive.
Yeah, and the parking staff was excited. They're typically in kind of a negative role where they're giving people tickets. People are, getting combative with it, and they were genuinely excited to be, you know, flipping that switch and being, I am here, I am friendly, I'm here to help you. So it's so
They're not going to want to write tickets again when that time comes.
and I think a
are
couple
they?
of them do, but yeah.
I think they were a little nervous during the training too, that to interact with people. We had to kind of take them through that whole process. But again, I think they embraced it. They're wearing a T-shirt, doesn't say unmistakably Lawrence on it, but it's a brand color, so we're excited by that.
Good, good, good. Well, Kim, tell me about those classes.
So the classes came, we've been in the program for about a year, and it's a partnership with our local historical society. The Watkins Museum is the Douglas County Historical Society as well. And so the ambassador program is really designed to let people in on how important the visitor economy is to Lawrence and what a true economic driver travel is and how many jobs we support. So that's Michael's part of the training. He's telling everyone, what our economic impact is and what jobs we support, and it's staggering. I don't remember the numbers because I'm not a numbers gal, but I think it's like 1 in 6 jobs, Michael, is that correct, is directly supported? It's crazy.
Like one
Wow.
of every 13 jobs, and I start my presentation by letting them know I'm the most boring part of the presentation, but it's important to let them know we're a $270 million industry.
Yeah, it's that's not boring numbers to me.
No, that's not boring.
So then we do a really fun part that is actually our historical society director, Steve Novak. He created this amazing interactive kind of quiz show way to present Lawrence history. And our goal with that is that everyone walks away with one stock story that they can tell people about Lawrence's history, either a building, knowing what it is, or an interesting character from our past, because Lawrence is loaded with interesting characters in our past. So that's a really fun one to do. And we see a lot of historical travelers because of our relationships to the beginning of the Civil War, the Bleeding Kansas era, and Quantrill's raid. So, and then Andrea and I take over and we talk about marketing, how we market, showing them what our marketing looks like, because a lot of people that live in market never see our marketing. And then
Right.
most importantly, we tell them about resources after they're done with the class. Like, here's how you can find things to do. Here's how you can really, when you have friends and family come visit, this is where you need to look to find things to do, and tell them what they can go experience in Lawrence, Kansas. And then my absolute favorite part of the day is we cycle through different attractions in town, and we get whatever attraction is hosting us gives us a in-depth behind the scenes tour, and they get to promote their specific attraction, and past ambassadors can come to those tours as well, so that you can meet the new ambassador class and get experience behind the scenes of yet another attraction in Lawrence.
Great stuff. What an awesome program. And man, I could spend an entire episode talking to you guys about this program and asking you more questions. And maybe I will another time because I really do like the program that you've got here for stakeholder engagement. But I want to get to the Lawrence Promise, because I think that's a really unique thing that you guys have also put together. And Michael, I don't know if this is a good one for you to answer, but I was thinking it might be about your turn to dive into a response.
Well, I'm going to dive in for a little bit, and then we're going to turn it over to Andrea because this was Andrea's baby.
Perfect.
Again, the research that we were doing as we were looking at everybody, looking at what other stakeholders, other partners around the country are doing, we realized that there was a pent-up desire to travel combined with a fear of being safe. And that was the genesis of the Lawrence Promise. And I'm going to let Andrea, who again just owns this. And
Sure. So with the Lawrence Promise, how that came about, we actually had been attending all of the webinars and listening to what the trends are in travel as the pandemic was unfolding, and then travel was, we're looking at it resuming. And what the research told us is that there is a pent up demand for travel met with a fear of traveling or the fear of contracting or spreading COVID-19. And so what we had seen is some other destinations across the country do something similar, which is a program with our local businesses to be able to share the things that they're doing to keep their customers safe. So what we came up with is the Lawrence Promise. It is a partnership between Explore Lawrence, the Chamber of Lawrence, Downtown Lawrence Inc., and our Lawrence Restaurant Association. And it has the support of the City of Lawrence and the Lawrence Douglas County Public Health Department. So basically what it is a form that businesses are able to fill out that says that when they're filling it out is basically them showing a commitment to following all public health mandates that come out locally from our state and from the federal government, as well as following the guidelines that we base this on is what the U.S. Travel Association laid out for us as the hospitality industry, which is creating transmission barriers, enhancing sanitation, and then also making themselves available to talk with people. We thought that was really important, just the transparency, and then also following industry specific guidelines. And then we would give people access to industry specific guidelines to make that easier. And when businesses sign, they're granted access to a toolkit where they can download a flyer. On the flyer is the logo for this program, which is a seal, basically a Lawrence Promise seal. And what we tell anybody who comes across it is when you see this seal, you can rest assured that practices are in place to keep you and your loved ones safe. So the goal of this is to start increasing traffic at local businesses, increasing spending in the local economy. And as travel resumes, we'll have the power and numbers to be able to share with visitors that, all of these Lawrence businesses have these practices in place. So to date, we have 180 businesses have signed up. More than 180 businesses have signed up to date. We're starting to see it become kind of normal. They're posting about it on social media. We had a dining room just closed the other day, and they posted the seal and said, because we are committed through the Lawrence Promise, we're going to close for a couple of weeks, make sure our practices are the safest they can be, and we'll be back. And people really appreciated that.
Wow. Well, I think the Lawrence Promise is really a factor of the new normal, right? Health and safety has never been as important to the traveler, especially the domestic traveler, as it is today. And you guys creating that Lawrence Promise and having your businesses get involved and buy in, it's just another example of teaming together with your stakeholders and doing it the right way. And I know sometimes it's difficult to hear and respond to a compliment, but I do want to commend you guys for the way that you've approached this crisis and the way you've been a leader in your community throughout. I think this is a model for destinations to follow in a situation like this. I would love to talk to you guys for hours, but obviously the show is only a certain amount of time. And so I'm wondering if you guys would feel comfortable kind of doing a little round robin of each of you giving what you feel like is your most important piece of advice or thing that you've learned in this crisis that other destinations can learn from.
Yeah, I would be happy to go first on that. Just hang in there and stay positive. The work that you're doing is good, but sometimes it may only last for a few seconds and it's on to something else, because everything is, from the beginning, it's all changed. So, or everything just changes all the time. So just hang in there, and then also take a break. Sometimes take a step away. It works wonders just to re-energize and take a break, take a step away, re-energize, and then come back at it. And just don't get down, because it's going to keep changing constantly. And the work that you're doing is really good work.
Great advice.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, second that, what Andrea says. It's really all about flexibility. you can't be totally committed to a plan that you have in 3 weeks because you don't know what the conditions are in 3 weeks. So I am one that likes to have contingency plans. So I am taking that to the next level right now. And I've got plans A through Z right now, whereas normally I just have plans A through D. So be flexible, make contingency plans, and also remember that in tourism, we get to promote the best things about our community. That's really what we do is we highlight those positive stories, and that's really what gives me my energy back is seeing all the positive things and all the really great ways our community is supporting each other and supporting our local businesses right now. It's a more inward glance than we typically do in this industry. And it's kind of refreshing to look inside and see what great restaurant owners and see what great things our hotels are doing and to see our attractions really banding together and seeing how we can get through this together. So I think it's going to be the age of a new collaborative atmosphere in Lawrence, Kansas, honestly. So I'm excited for post-COVID. I think we're going to be even better than we are today.
Love the optimism. Awesome. Okay, Michael, do you want to close us out here?
When I think that I'm reaching the end of my professional career, and I think my advice to anybody who's in a position like I am, I think the key thing you need to do is the buck stops with you, but you need to empower your staff to do their best possible work. And I always think that's one of the things that I think is one of the things I do best. I empower my staff to really run with things. I've never been a micromanager. I think micromanagers don't work. And in this time, you can't be a micromanager. So set the sails and let your team run with it. And I think that's the best advice I can give anybody who's in the kind of position I'm in as a leadership of a great team. Just let them run.
Michael, that is great advice. You guys, this has been one of my absolute favorite episodes of the Destination Marketing Podcast. It's unique because we've had multiple people on, but I had a great time chatting with you guys today. And I just want to express my appreciation for you guys for taking the time as a team to come talk to us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Awesome. Well, this has been another wonderful episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a rating or a review. And if you want to find more of our past episodes or learn more about the podcast, you can go to destinationmarketingpodcast.com and you can learn more. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. You guys, I have been working on something for the last 6 months that has been such a giant project, but I'm so proud of it. I'm excited to announce that I've just released my book. It's called Touch Points, and it's the Destination Marketer's Guide to Brand Evaluation and Enhancement. And it is a comprehensive guide for destinations to look at their brand, evaluate what you've done, and make a very clear and detailed plan of action of how to fix it. And look, I'm biased, right? Because I wrote it, but I think it's so good. I think it's a great guide, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. And I wanted to tell you guys about it. It's available on Amazon. Search Touch Points by Adam Stoker, and you'll be able to get that book for your destination. And I think it's going to be, especially for anyone that is trying to look at their brand holistically, this is the book for you. So check it out.